Hello, good evening, and welcome to ABW Radio Live. We are coming to you post Bayern Munich after the fantastic 2-0 victory for the Arsenal. Joined tonight with three gentlemen, as always. I am joined by Danny as the GFP. Hello, Danny.
That's all the only tune I know, the damn busters. Honest you were.
Okay, good.
They were beating the Germans, that film. Can't remember what the gist of it was.
Moving on.
I think it was cricket.
Yeah, I think it probably was. Also joined by Tom. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, sir.
Alrighty, and also joined by Ellis, who's making his debut this evening. Good evening, Ellis.
Good evening.
So, let's get straight into it, shall we? We have, what have we got? A couple of people viewing. How many have we got viewing at the moment? Loads of people. How many have we got, Danny? I can't even see. There's no numbers coming up.
It won't do because you've only just started.
Pooh. Okay, well, good evening to all of you in the chat box anyway. We've got plenty of people there, some familiar names and a couple of newbies as well, so you're all welcome. So, where do we begin? Wow, we won. That's got to be a good thing, I would suggest. We certainly needed the win. Let's go straight across to each one of you individually and let's get some immediate reaction. Danny, do you want to kick us off? What did you think?
When I said 9-0, I didn't honestly think we were going to lose 9-0 home and away before people think. I did honestly think
we were going to lose.
I still think we'll lose the away leg. It'll make up for winning the home leg.
Positivity.
I've had us down for a 3-1 loss. I have done an entire thing. I don't know if you can see that. That's all the notes I made from the game. The notes I made from the last game against Watford was one note, and that was at half-time. So, oh dear, is it nice to see Czech starting? That's the most important note. I think, I'm making a crazy statement here, but I think Czech should start all of our games from now on. I mean, I don't know, what do I know, but I think it's just a good idea. So close, a great start. That was really important. Superb 1-2 from Bayern and a brilliant save by Czech. And then the most important things along the way were just the possession that they had. I mean, at one point it was 71-29, and that's after 60 minutes, and touches 117 v 441. And I'd have thought by then it was just an absolute slobberknocker of a game. And then at the 87th minute, 30%, 70%, 175 v 600. Oh dear, and it's lovely to see that the 19th official, or whatever he's called now, has done his job for the second game in a row. I'm just looking back at the YouTube. No one can see what I put on my phone. What a waste of time that was.
I was going to say, yeah, it's very, very blurry. But we can see you've got something up. That's good enough for us. So
at my age, that's got to be a good thing.
Oh please! You always have to lower the tone, don't you?
Well, I don't want to be laying down. I can hold things up in the air and wave them around.
Oh God! Moving on.
Like I just don't care.
Tom, rescue me, please, for Christ's sake. Tom, what was your thoughts on tonight?
I agree with Danny.
Good, Alice. What was?
No, it was brilliant. I had such a headache after the game. I actually tweeted out saying I was really scared to wear my new Arsenal shirt before the game because if we lost, it was just like the superstitions would come out. But I'm literally never taking this off ever again. So
you're a student, so it won't be hard.
Say, that's just surely.
But no, it was brilliant. I mean, it had elements of when we played Man City last season, and we knew that we were the not inferior team. We're a good side, but they've certainly got a lot more quality than we do in our side overall, spread throughout the team. And we really sat back and we absorbed the pressure, and we played how teams do when we play against them. And we did a better job than they do as well. So it's good to see us beat Bayern Munich, and it'll be a great push on for the rest of the season. I just hope that we can get the fortune to go through in the Champions League, because it does bring up the thing of if it doesn't work out, we could end up third now. So that's the only issue I have.
I actually put in our group WhatsApp, I said that ironic that we kind of did to Bayern what most teams do to us. It's kind of ironic, really, how we turn the tables. Ellis, what was your thoughts on this evening? Much the same as the other guys? Was it, were you going into the game thinking, yes, we can win, or were you as pessimistic and as downright miserable as Danny is?
I was pretty much the same as Danny. I was really pessimistic. I actually even tweeted earlier today. I wouldn't even be that unhappy if we went out and rotated and lost, because I just thought, well, might as well just finish fourth, get knocked out, and we can focus on the league then. But tonight was a really good result. Everyone played really well, I thought, especially Czech, who's made some outstanding saves. And I think we all, like you say, we pretty much did what everyone else did to us, and it was, like, I agree with Tom, very reminiscent of the Man City game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really well. We'll come on to tactics in a minute. There's so much to cover, so we'll take it bit by bit. But Danny, what was your thoughts? I mean, you've already mentioned Czech coming back in. I don't think Arsene was ever going to be stubborn enough to leave him out. Obviously, Ospina was injured anyway, or injured, whatever you want to call it.
Just
But
like Czech was injured in the last Champions League game. Yeah.
yeah,
Was it a proper injury?
apparently it is a proper injury. It's a legit
Okay.
injury, I think. But even so, I think it was always going to start. What do you? I mean, what do you sort of think? Obviously, the result was paramount. It was a 0-0 game. It was quiet. The commentators started talking about always a draw, good enough. You thought we were going to lose. I mean, where do you think this leaves us now? Where do we go from here? I mean, does this change the perspective of the group in your eyes?
Well, it's a twofold thing. It definitely does change because Olympiacos, like I said, beat Zagreb because Zagreb are rubbish. They're absolute poo in Europe. They haven't won in Europe in, I think, best part of 10 years. I did look at this a couple of weeks ago when we played them, but Olympiacos winning is what we really needed, because if it was a draw, then they would both be on 4 points, we'd be on 3. But I think this way, all we have to do is Olympiacos aren't going to beat Bayern, are they? Neither are Zagreb, especially now that Bayern will have to play a full-strength team for the last 3 games to make sure that they win it. So at the moment it's Bayern on 6, Olympiacos on 6, and us and Zagreb on 3. And so with the other game going that way as well, I think that's given us a better chance to make first or second, because all it's going to take is for, even if we lose to Bayern in the next leg in the next game, then all we have to do is beat Olympiacos, beat Zagreb, which is, I know we thought it'd be easy in the first 2 games, but if we beat those 2, then we're going to be on 9 points. And that sounds almost, or should I stand a very good chance of getting through to the next round. As long as our, because it goes head to head, not goal difference. So as long as Olympiacos beat us, what was it, 2-1? 3-2.
You mean we beat them? Oh, you mean they beat us 3-2? So we've got to beat them by 2 clear goals.
That's it. So it could see that the way that we beat Olympiacos and Zagreb, we're on 9. Olympiacos will beat Zagreb in the return leg, and they won't beat Bayern, so they'll have 9. So it all might come down to the head-to-head results.
I mean, it's hard. I suppose we have to look at the here and now. We can't get ahead of ourselves too much, but I did pose the question, so fair point. But Ellis, what do you, going obviously into the game, as you said, pessimistic? A bit of a knife edge. The atmosphere to me seemed a bit, I don't know what the word is. It's not flat, but maybe it's just nervous. I don't know. But we started the game fairly well, clearly in a defensive mindset. When we started the game, did you think that was a wise tactic? Were you surprised to see us playing that way?
Well, I actually missed the start of the game, so I didn't finish my shift until kickoff, basically. So I had to listen to it on the radio. But you could definitely, when you hear the commentators talking, you can hear how quiet it sort of was in the stadium. And it only really kicked off when the Bayern fans come back in. And we all started, obviously, all the fans were clapping them. And it seemed like then the atmosphere got a bit more upbeat and intense, and then a bit more behind the team.
A bit more rowdy. We should mention actually that protest was the Bayern Munich fans staged a protest outside the game. Well, a lot of them did, about the prices. Apparently, it was £64 a ticket to get in, and they didn't get in until 5 minutes late, and they were all applauded in by the Arsenal fans, which is different. You don't see that nowadays.
Fife and Raj were there, and they both said the atmosphere was terrible at the beginning.
I think it was a lot of more people really didn't know what they wanted from the game, because you got, as Ellis said earlier, he wasn't sure if he wanted to lose and just go out of Europe completely and avoid risking Europa League. And a lot of, even though you go to support the team, that is still in the back of your mind at the end of the day. If we do lose, or if we even win, it's not the end of troubles at the end of the day. And that could have been mentally going through the fans' heads as they're watching the game, but also at the same time, there is an essence of we must win this game. The Olympiacos was a must-win game. We've not been good in Europe this season, and that obviously bled into the supporters. And because you compare it to when we played Bayern Munich last season, and with the same display and with all the cards held up, and that atmosphere was amazing until we missed our penalty. So you got to think a bit of. Everyone's a bit nervous, as you said, but at the same time, it's a bit of an indifference in opinions of what we actually wanted from the match.
I got to be honest, boys. I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not going to hold back here. I can't get my head around anyone thinking, oh, maybe we should just lose. I can't get my head around that. And I'm not, Ellis, I'm not having a go at you in any way, shape, or form. But and trust me, you're not alone. I've seen a lot of people say the same. I can't get my head around that.
Well, you don't understand the fact that if we're not in the Champions League, then we can just concentrate on the Premier League. And after
it doesn't work like that, Danny.
Look at Liverpool's season when they weren't in the Champions League.
It doesn't work like that.
Season they've had in living memory.
Okay, so what? So we get humped 5-0 tonight, and the confidence is flat on the floor, and we lose at home to Everton. Then everyone's saying we're concentrating on the league. Are they? That's absolute rubbish.
No, in future games.
Nah, bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
Liverpool proved it.
Momentum. If you're in the biggest look, I've heard so many people on other podcasts this week, on other forums, on Twitter, whatever, saying Arsenal cannot win the Champions League. That statement alone is utter bollocks.
I'll give you £1,000 we don't win it.
No, hear me out.
Money where your hairy gob is.
Hear me out. I'm not saying that we're favourites. I'm not saying we're one of the best 5 teams even in the Champions League, because we're clearly not. But if Porto can win it that season that they won it, if a team
that's
like
ancient history. That's so long ago. Was that 2004?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Greece won the Euros.
It's nice to see you decide what does and doesn't matter.
It
does matter. That's
a fact.
Of football.
Okay, answer me this. Answer me this, right? Can Arsenal win the Champions League? Can Arsenal win the Champions League if they're not in it?
Well, according to you, maybe.
Answer the question.
No, they won't win it. They're not going to win it. They won't win it under Wenger. They've got no chance to win it this season or next season or the season after.
Come back a bit. If they're not in the Champions League, can they win it?
Oh, here we go. Reverse psychology. No, we can't win it.
Thank you. If they're in it, is there a chance they can win it?
No.
That's bullshit.
It's not bullshit. We haven't ever done it and won it.
It is.
Even when we've been in the final, we haven't fucking won it.
Yeah. Well, look at this. Look at the circumstances. That even for you, that's harsh.
I was there.
It's
not over it. That's probably why I've got an allergic reaction to the Champions League. Much like spiders, I've had a horrible fucking dealings with it, and I'm scared of it.
It's all about opinions, and I'm not sitting here now saying we've won one game, therefore we're going to win everything in Europe and cover the world in glory. We're not. I'm not saying
we've had 19 seasons in the Premier in the Champions League. We've been in the final once, and every other time it's been abject failure.
How long did it take Man United to win it? How long did it take Liverpool to get back?
How much money did they throw at it?
We're not going to agree on this one. Let's move on. I'm sticking by my guns here. You got to be in it to win it, and if you're not in it, you can't win it. And I just don't get how many people wanted us to lose. Okay, granted, none of us really want us to be in the Europa League. Truth be told,
I don't want us to lose. I would quite like us to win it. I'd love us to win it. But I would much rather us win the Premier League. I think you've got to differentiate between what your priorities are. Mine is the Premier League over the Champions League all day long. I'd much rather be the best team in England than be the best team in Europe.
That's another argument. I completely agree with you.
Don't start agreeing with me. You don't make it any fun if you do that.
My priority is also the Premier League. I'd love to see us win the league, because for me, if you win a league over 38 games, you're the best team in your country. If you win a Champions League where you fluke a couple of away results and you get the luck of the draw, what does that say? So I'm with you. I would rather win the Premier League, but I'm saying if you're in a competition, you've got every chance to win it, and it only takes you to get a fluky goal off of someone's arse, or in tonight's case, Giroud's face/hand, and you never know what might happen. So
under a different manager, with the amount of money, when Wenger leaves in 2 years' time, and we get a different manager with the amount of finances and the squad and the players and the tactics and the different stuff, then I'd be more inclined to believe we can win the Champions League. But under Wenger, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think he fills the players with confidence when it gets through to the knockout stages.
Okay, well, fair enough.
It's not an Arsenal thing, it's a Wenger thing. And although I think Wenger is the best man for the job as well, before you start to attack me over that, I'm not Wenger in or out. Wenger has done brilliant tonight, well done.
Hey, I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying that factually, if we're in a tournament, there's every possibility we can win it.
So I don't want us to lose, just make that clear. I don't want us to lose. I'll stand the man has put, it's like Big Show v Seth Rollins, the main event right here.
I'm not as greasy as Seth Rollins, and I'm certainly not as in good shape.
You were nearly as wet as him, though, earlier today as you were swimming at lengths in your sitting room.
Oh, let's not talk about my fucking kitchen. So, okay, let's let
the other two talk.
Let's get back on track. Tom, defensively tonight, we've been heavily criticised many times, and in fairness, rightly so. We turned up for big Champions League games, and we've been blasted out of them within 20 minutes. It's happened against United, Bayern before, obviously Monaco last year. Tonight, just defensively, just superb, wasn't it?
Well, it was excellent. I mean, everyone did their job. I mean, was it Danny Higginbottom pointed out that it seemed that Bayern Munich were targeting Nacho Monreal on the right-hand side, and as if they thought that would be a weakness. But as we know, as Arsenal fans watching him all this season and all the second half of last season, that he's been excellent. He's probably been our most consistent defender out of all four of them. And so to attack Nacho Monreal probably wasn't the best plan in terms of Bayern Munich. Personally, I didn't think Bayern Munich played with the free-flowing football and the raw attacking capability they actually do have. And whether that was because they don't have Goetze and Robben and whoever else, but they have been without them in recent games, and they've gone out and won, and then they only beat Werder Bremen 1-0 last weekend. But at the same time, they are still Bayern Munich. They do still have Douglas Costa and Thomas Müller and Lewandowski. But we shut them out. We stopped them. Coquelin had an amazing game. The only little defensive blips that we seem to have was when Alexis Sanchez decided to try and play left back and pass to Mertesacker and almost let them in to score. But we were then again there. And you could put that down not just as defensive capabilities, but this is where I think we need to give Czech some credit and say that the difference in mentality in that defence from having Ospina behind them and having Czech behind them does seem to have a massive influence on them. The confidence they had and the ability to know what their jobs were. I mean, at one point, Mertesacker was going mad at Czech for punching the ball out for a corner right at the end when he could have just caught it or just left it to go out. And just knowing that even though you've got Czech behind you and you can still berate them because you know you're the captain, shows great team, not spirit, great cohesion and great people knowing what their jobs are, knowing who they need to G up and knowing what they need to do. And we did that excellently tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Ellis, do you think, this is a bit of a weird question, but I think it's a fair one. Bayern Munich came and you know, some of the praise that I've seen in the past couple of days has been bordering on vomit worthy. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, they're one of, if not the best side in Europe at the moment. They're hugely informed, but I've seen some people talking up like some kind of cyborg unit, and they're just going to come and plough through us and win 27-0.
9-0.
No, 9-0. Sorry, Danny. But to me, a lot of their play tonight, whilst it was easy on the eye and it was heavily possession based, was it not a little bit like what Arsenal tend to do to teams, and then not really have a huge amount of end product? I mean, am I being harsh, or did you see the same thing I saw?
No, I don't think you're being harsh. I think, except from Douglas Costa, who sort of trebled Bellerin in part of the first half and some of the second, they tried to play it sort of through the middle quite a lot, and it wasn't really working out for them. And I was listening on the radio. You've got Lewandowski, who's in probably the best form of the strikers in the world at the moment, banging goals in for fun. And on the radio, I barely heard his name mentioned. I come home, my dad's watching the game. I'm like, has Lewandowski played well? I haven't even heard the commentators even mention his name. So I think that shows something about our defence. Obviously, Mertesacker and Koscielny kept him quite quiet. But I think you're spot on. They just tried to play through the middle a bit much, except from Costa getting down our right-hand side, their left-hand side. They didn't really offer much threat. And even though they had the lion's share of the possession, they still didn't really create that many clear-cut chances. I think there's just the one where Czech pulled off a really good save, but obviously with our 2 goals and as well as some of the other chances, we could have scored a few more goals, really. I think we made the better of the chances in the game overall.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Well, one thing we should say, and by the way, I'm just going to have to interject at this point and say, Kelly, if you think Lewandowski is hot, I don't know what to tell you. Doesn't help when women say these things. Sorry.
Do you see that Lewandowski was out on the left a lot of the game?
Yes,
I did notice that was tonight was hindering him.
And the thing that really I found really strange with Lewandowski is that he had a couple of, not what I would say clear-cut opportunities, but opportunities where he had that sort of that time to just ping a shot, particularly late on with the Koscielny challenge, which we'll come on to.
Genius that was.
But it was, he didn't look like a striker who was sort of confident that he could get a shot away, and score early. It was almost like he sort of overthought things. And I don't know. I just wonder whether Bayern maybe came with not the wrong approach, but just with an approach of, we'll pass this team off the pitch and eventually we'll score, which is what they've been doing in the Bundesliga for a few weeks. I mean, Tom will tell you as well. I mean, they're very much a side that that they just outpass and outthink and outwork the opposition. Werder Bremen, they beat 1-0 at the weekend. They didn't dominate the game per se, but they dominated the possession, and they just took the chance they got. Other than that, there wasn't a lot to talk about, and I just wonder if they maybe they got Arsenalitis and turned up thinking, well, this lot ain't much cop, we'll probably do them. Equally, of course, they could afford to risk going for glory and coming away with nothing, whereas we couldn't. So, one of those games. I should say, though, Danny, highlighting a couple of individual players, Douglas Costa for Bayern Munich.
For the first half.
What a player, though. I mean,
Yeah,
this
for the first
guy...
half he was, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, obviously Hector Bellerin was really pinned back in that first half. Aaron Ramsey did a bit of defending and then kind of got bored. But... do you think that that's sort of the making of Hector? I mean, we'll come on to what he did later on in a minute, but I'll have to, I'll have to put a cushion over my bits before we talk about that. But but he, do you think sort of performances like that will be the making of him?
Definitely, they're definitely going to be one of his most memorable performance, and I think the game was also, along with like Tom was saying, why would you attack down our right-hand side, attacking Monreal, when Monreal is the more defensive, solid side of our team? And so you had Monreal and Koscielny on that side, which are our best centre-back and our best full-back, and on the right-hand side, Bellerin is still good, but he's not as defensively as good as Monreal, and Mertesacker isn't as good as Koscielny, so why would they constantly attacking down the right-hand side of the pitch, or depending which way you were facing, I suppose, but towards our left-sided defenders? I thought that was a bit silly. And I think that the game, thinking back at it, it almost pivoted on two sets of substitutions, didn't it? Why? I don't know. In the first half, I thought Alonso and Vidal were fantastic. And Vidal, you see Vidal playing for Munich is a different Vidal than it was playing at Barcelona, because at Barcelona he was more holding midfielder, but now he's playing again alongside Alonso again at Barcelona when he's playing at Juventus, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So when he was playing at Juventus, he was more holding at times. I know you had Pirlo playing with him and he was holding as well, but I thought Vidal got much further up the pitch a lot today, and I thought the first half he was really good. So when he took both of those two off for Kimmich and Rafinha, I mean, isn't Rafinha a fullback normally?
He's a converted fullback. He's more of a...
And then I heard the commentators say that probably means that Lahm is going to move into midfield, which is a position he played a lot for Germany in the World Cup.
Yep.
And then our substitution of the moment that Ramsey went off, bless his poor Welsh socks, and the Ox come in, I thought straight away that balanced the team up perfectly, and we had an attacking source down the right hand side, which is where eventually the two goals come from, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think that Pep Guardiola, if he had his time again, might rethink that substitution, because I thought they were poor substitutions. I really did. I mean, Xabi Alonso, whilst the legs are not what they used to be, he is the metronome, and he just patrols. And whilst Arturo Vidal was quieter in the second half, he showed me exactly why he's the player that I would have loved in the summer, because he just keeps the game moving, and he's so dynamic, and he's such an athlete. And I was surprised to see Kimmich come on, who's, don't get me wrong, a huge talent, but to throw him into a game within a minute, I think his Coquelin sort of smashed him up in the air, and from that minute he didn't seem to fancy it. And I thought, dare I say it, Arsene Wenger got his tactics spot on when he brought Giroud on, because that was exactly the right move, exactly the right time. And
we'll batter them.
Yeah, and we'll cover.
And he was up for it. I think Giroud's recent run of form, 2 goals in 2 games for us, 2 goals in a game for France, he's decided to become a hipster and grow the beard, hasn't he?
Yes, he does it. Obviously, the power of the beard.
And I'm surprised, talking about hipsters, I'm surprised Coman. Yeah, I'm thinking of the Dutch left back, current Southampton manager. Same way you say, isn't it? Coman. It is. Yeah. My brain was right. It was ahead of me.
One's for the C and one's for the K. But yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't come on.
I was actually. In fact, I thought he
was looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say. No,
from a footballing point of view.
I do agree. I thought that he was the logical change, and I thought that perhaps he would be the one to come on, maybe even for Lewandowski. I was surprised they didn't go for more pace, but hey ho. Tom, let me come to you. Just sort of ask you with regards to how we sort of set up attacking wise. First half, would you agree that we probably tried that little bit too hard almost? It was almost like we were trying to force that first goal. Did you get that impression as well, or were you just was it just a bit of bad luck?
I certainly feel that the team clearly knew that they needed to win this game. It had obviously been drilled into them by the manager during the week that lads, we can't be holding out for a draw. You can't just sit back and let them come on to you. We need to hit them on the break. We need to try and score. And maybe at the beginning, I slightly agree that they might have been really trying to force that and try and get that early goal. But to be honest, the worst thing you want to do against Bayern Munich is probably, if you're going to score, is get it early on, because then you've got so much time to try and get back and then turn you over. So the way we then you saw the tactics sort of change, where Alexis sort of went up front with Walcott for a lot of the games, so that even though we didn't, on the defensive, we had one less man, but when we did go to break, we would have the extra man already up there with Walcott and ready to play a pass to Alexis, and then he could feed through Walcott. And to be honest, Alexis's passing wasn't actually too great this evening, but it seemed to work when it was on. And then for me, when we really hit our attacking form was when they really made their changes, and the changes for them probably cost them the game, because they weren't certainly not offensive changes. They were more changes to keep the fitness up of the team. But as you looked at the bench, they really did not have the depth that we certainly had in that time. That's mostly down to the massive injuries they've got to many of their players. But at the same time, that's their loss, and we've had such injury issues with our team, and people have exploited that. Now it's our turn to exploit that, and we did, and we came through. The change for Olivier was, I think what I heard from the crowd, there was a little bit of like, why are we doing that sort of thing, but it certainly paid dividends in the end.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought that when the reaction came when he came on, I don't know. Some people I just don't understand. Some people's knowledge just it surprises me, because for me it was exactly the right change. But different folks, different strokes. Ellis, what did you think? Want to pick out some individual player performances tonight? Somebody we haven't mentioned, who for me is fast becoming one of the very best midfielders for me in Europe, let alone anywhere else, and that's Francis Coquelin. This kid, I mean, people have to remember he is still a kid. He's 22. Everything about him. He strikes me as, what everyone loves about Jack Wilshere, where he's this sort of Arsenal through and through. He's a local lad, blah 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 blah. Although he's French, although he came into the system as a youngster sort of from overseas, he just completely embodies everything it is as an Arsenal fan watching on. He's the sort of game you'd want to play as an Arsenal fan. Do you agree? And what did you think of him tonight?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like whenever we score a goal, even if the camera's not on him, he's celebrating that like the crazy man he is. He's just like screaming and shouting and shaking and everything. So yeah, I think he plays a very important role in games exactly like the game today, and like the one we had a couple last season against Man City. In the big games, when you may not have all the possession, he's the guy you want sat in front of your defence, helping out, breaking up those attacks. And alongside Santi Cazorla, they're sort of like, for me, like Cazorla gets a lot of criticism being in that role, but I think they work out perfectly. Especially today, like Bayern Munich's energy levels and the way they pressed us pretty much the whole game. But somehow in these tight spaces where you think the ball's never going to get out, Santi Cazorla managed to get it out. And even Coquelin did contribute there as well. In these tight spaces when he's getting closed down by 2 or 3 Bayern players, they somehow managed to get a ball out to another player, who then is also getting pressed and also somehow managed to get out to another player. And if it does break down, Coquelin sat there in that position waiting to break it up again and start from scratch and try and get a counter.
Yeah, completely. I think his pass is very underrated as well. I think it's a side of his game that he really looks like he's working on to me. He looks like he's trying to sort of adapt his game and become a better player for it. So,
at the start of the season, he tried to ping a few balls, didn't he? Like they didn't really work out, but they are getting better, and his passing range is getting a lot better. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. And I also totally agree with the partnership with Santi Cazorla. I think too many people are very quick to judge individuals as individuals, and I think sometimes you have to sort of understand that partnerships is what it's all about in the modern game. And you can look at all the top clubs around Europe; they all have top quality partnerships in one way or another. And I think it's the same with our centre backs. And sometimes 2 players just work brilliantly together. And I thought Santi was good again tonight.
Can I mention his shot quickly?
Yes, you can. Absolutely, yeah.
I couldn't really tell from the camera angle how far wide it went, but he certainly struck it.
Caught it clean, didn't he?
On the first from a pass going back and towards him first time, and for someone who's not actually scored a goal for the Arsenal, it was looking like he can actually hit a ball. So it looks promising in terms of his shooting.
Yeah, yeah. So I should correct myself as well. He is indeed. Somebody corrected me in the chat box, and I just corrected myself. He is indeed 24. So apologies there. So I take it. Took 2 years off his life. So God bless him. Um, but Danny, what did you make of a certain young Theo Walcott today? He divides opinion. He divides opinion between you and I, and various other people, and pretty much the whole Arsenal fan base. Wasn't surprised to see him start, but what did you think of his overall contribution tonight?
Yeah, just looking in the chat box, Sean had just been talking about how many assists he's got. And I said he's got 2 against Man United. He got a second assist against Watford, and that's just in the last few games. Tonight's games, I've only got down the first assist for each of them, because trying to work out the Ozil goal. Did for the Giroud goal, Cazorla took the free kick, didn't he? Did it touch Koscielny on the way in?
I don't. It seemed to get a flick from someone, because how Giroud put it in was a bit.
Trying to
Yeah.
follow that back, and the assists and second assist and third and fourth, that's going to be impossible. And for the Ozil goal, Bellerin obviously put it across, but who gave it to Bellerin? Did he get it off of someone and then get down on the break? I think he did. I'll have to watch that again.
He intercepted it, didn't he? It was coming across the pitch. I don't know who who was playing at left back for Bayern at that
So
particular
it's
point
a
in time.
Bayern player.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
the ball sort of came across and he just whipped in front. But we'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, go on.
I think Theo, I think it was that Sean was saying in the chat box that it seems that Walcott's finally been able to pick up doing some of the stuff that Wenger asks Giroud to do, as in not just be a headless chicken running around trying to get the ball. I said on one of the recent pods that we've done that it's great to see Theo, that even though he's not scoring goals, that he's still involved in the game, and he ran Bayern ragged in the first half. I don't think they were expecting any team in the world to come and counter-attack them like we were. It was almost like the team of '04, where it was just constant boom, counter-attack, oh shit, outrunning them and outpacing them. And Theo could have easily had 2 or 3 goals in the first half if it wasn't the outstanding. If Neuer hadn't gone full Neuer and stopped him getting the shots on target. Well, no, stopped him getting the goals. He did get the shots on target. Yeah. I reckon that he must have saved the ball with about that much of his hand. His fingers must have bent all the way back. Fans of steel. That's the only way he could have saved. That header must have gone in at some power and not to have scored. But Theo didn't drop. He just carried on going. And I thought the way he was breaking off, he was making runs, he was dropping deep, he was doing passes, and then he'd make another dynamite run, and then they would just turning the whole inside out. And I think that may be the reason why he took off Alonso and Vidal, because every time Theo was just getting through them. In the second half, Bayern were completely changed the way they played football. The defensive high line they were playing in the first half stopped because of Theo. They were playing a deeper high line. Defensive line, a deeper high line, that's an oxymoron. Their defensive line was much deeper because they knew that they were just getting done over and over again by Theo, and eventually Theo probably would have got through and scored. But it's just brilliant for Theo. It's just so, like right with Bellerin, I think this is one of the games again that you can look back at Theo and Theo will go, I grew a little bit that game, just like Bellerin did.
Yeah.
Like we all did when Ozil scored, we all grew a little bit.
I was going to say we all grew a little bit in very different ways. I see. In the influencer or in the what's the word? In the interest, of fairness, I would balance this up a little bit. Tom, Theo, I thought on the flip side, I thought his movement was excellent. I think he's certainly adapting his game, and he's running the lines better, and he's making those runs off people, and he's stretching defenders. He's using his brain, dare I say it. What I would say though, this constant trying to Dennis Bergkamp it into the top corner from the edge of the penalty area is just frankly ridiculous, and he needs to stop doing it. What I would say, that header, I mean, let's make no bones about it. It was a fantastic save, and one of the best I've ever seen. And Anush points it out in the chat box. It was very reminiscent of the David Seaman save in the FA Cup semi-final against Sheffield United all those years ago. He sort of clawed it from behind the line out. It was a magnificent save. That being said, at the very top level, do you think he should be scoring that?
Oh, I was on mute there. Sorry. We had a little bit of a debate in the chat about it, and for me, it was one of the best saves I've seen. It was discussed in the commentary in the game I was watching that maybe he could have done a little bit more to put it into the corner. At the same time, I made the point that just having Manuel Neuer actually there is also a bit of a mental block for players. The fact that you're going up against the best goalkeeper in the world does have a bit of a mental effect. You can argue that maybe at this level you should be getting that out of your head, but for me, I do feel that influence is there. in terms of the shots he had during the game, I think that he needs to understand that he needs to get his head down and look around and not just have a shot. If he sees that he's got a shot at goal, but it's from a position where he knows he's not going to be able to get the power on it, he knows that he's not going to be able to get the right placement in terms of the pullback of his foot, he might not be able to score. And especially when you're playing against Manuel Neuer, you're going to have to either produce something extremely special or have a major mistake from the goalkeeper, like honestly what happened for our first goal. But yeah, he certainly is coming across as more of a striker now, though, which is nice to see, because especially the fact that we didn't have anyone to bring in the summer, it's nice that we do have that option that we can rely on. And I do think he is progressing and learning as a striker, and his movement, as you pointed out before, is getting extremely good. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's getting there. As I say, I want to keep it positive, and let's not pretend that players don't deserve criticism sometimes, because they do. But overall, I think we'll keep it positive, and there's definitely more good this year than bad. I just worry sort of long term if there's just enough that people think there is there. But time will tell. And as Funkadino points out in the chat, which is a fair point, he did have to duck down pretty low to get that header, and I think that you obviously, when you're stretching a little bit or your body's in an unnatural position, you do tend to sort of rush it a bit. You don't quite get the purchase maybe you'd want to get unless you were going up unchallenged, at a normal level. So, credit to Neuer and credit to Theo for keep going, and good to see him improving. Danny, you had some notes you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, talking about Neuer, I just went back, had a quick look through them. I put 32nd minute, shit the bed, Theo inches away from a great goal. 35th minute, Theo running Bayern ragged. 37th minute, Theo does them again. First half was a battle of the keepers. So there you go.
There you go, yeah. And we have touched on it, but Petr Cech, made a couple of, wouldn't say sort of world-class saves, that they were saves that you would...
Solid.
Yeah, not so much expect a keeper to make, but they're saves that you'd think a keeper of his level would make. But he his organisation, and as Tom mentioned earlier on, his presence, I think, is a massive part. Ellis, I want to come to you just briefly before we go into the sort of the goals themselves. Arsene Wenger, obviously, Marmite, bless his socks. A lot of people are still on the whole, in and out train. I'm not going to go into that; it bores me to tears. But there's an interesting stat here that's just popped up. Arsene Wenger is the only manager in the world to have defeated Guardiola's Barcelona and Bayern Munich. And what I would also say tonight, for me, and I want to get your view on this, tactically, he got it absolutely spot on. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree completely. Really, I think. Sometimes he does get it wrong a lot, but you need to give credit when credit's due. He got it right today. He played it out perfectly, really. Well, that's an amazing stat, really, to think that he's the only manager to ever beat Guardiola's Barcelona and Bayern. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. He is Marmite for certain people, but he gets criticism when we're doing bad. The whole the Ramsey issue, playing him on the right wing. Everyone always goes on about that, but at the moment, we're winning with him playing in that position. Obviously, he got injured today, so it sort of changed it a bit. His hand was forced. But people are very quick to pick out these little situations, these little tactical decisions that Wenger makes when we're losing. But they're not as quick to praise him when he does, like you say, play a good game tactically like today. So I think he does deserve a lot of credit for this game.
I think that's an excellent point, a really excellent point. I think whether you're pro or anti, as you quite rightly say there, too many people are not quick to put their hands up and go, you know what, they were spot on, they were good. And I think, if there's such fine margins, because you play like that tonight and we lose 1-0 and everyone says, he doesn't know what he's doing. You play like that and you win 2-0 and he's a genius. So it's a very, very fine margin. But I just wanted to give a nod to us. And you could tell, watching the footage back, the way he celebrated the goals, the way he was sort of living every miss, every chance, this was important for him tonight. And also, just on that point, Danny, I'll come to you on this. I think we discussed in the preview on Saturday's radio show, we were saying that just how damaging a defeat could have been tonight, not just to our Champions League chances or opportunities, but also to the league form. A result like this tonight, surely that's only going to further strengthen the league challenge now and push us on to another level. You'd hope, anyway, wouldn't you?
You certainly would do. We've got some. Well, I don't know if they'll really be hard games. I said the other day we're going to win our next 7 league games. So I know people do think that sometimes a bit of a pessimist, but Everton are on a downer, and we're at home at Everton this Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. So we'll be doing a show live after that. Sheffield Wednesday in the League Cup. We should easily beat that. Swansea away, they're on their arse. Then it's Bayern at home. And I think that'd be the only game in the next, up until the Man City game, that's going to be tough. Because after that, we've got the N17 scum at home, and then West Brom away, and then we've got the Zagreb at home. So I think we're on a great run as it is already. We've only lost 1 in our last 6 games. I've just asked the mighty Reverend Raj in here. I said, Raj, what was the atmosphere like at the end? Did it remind you of any past times? He put, it was a hell of a lot better. Recent memory was Barcelona 2-1, which Pep also managed, and hardly anyone left early apart from the tourist mongs. And so that's what's his Raj's username? Is it Raj Patel 1807? That's the year he was born.
Yeah, let me check that, but I think it is.
So if you want to go and give Raj a cheeky tickle.
1809.
1809. Oh, of course it is. It's 18th of September is his birthday.
There you go.
Yeah, so Raj was there. Raj goes, so if you're going, Fife was there. Fife hasn't put in the group yet what it was like there, but yeah, hardly anybody left early. I think that sums up the entire game. And the fans are on a roll, the players are on a roll. In the league, I think we've got the fittest team in the league at the moment, because Man City are falling apart. We've probably got the most informed team in the league. I mean, it seems that as Man City have got so much money, as soon as one player gets injured, they've got another £50 million player to come in and score some goals. But they're just really a 2-man team if it's not Aguero or Sterling scoring goals. Didn't they say Boney got a bit of a knock, or he's ill because he got malaria in the summer? I read that the other day.
Yeah. You can never tell with these reports, can you, about what's truth or what's not? But no, I read the same thing. So
I think us Arsenal fans are in for a hell of a run.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you couldn't get any better a springboard than a result like this, could you? So,
against the greatest team in the world, who played 15, won 15, scored 40 goals this season.
And Pep Guardiola described Czech as fantastic tonight, so that's the biggest compliment.
And how many decent Chelsea goalies are left at Chelsea? I think it's none. None that are fit. They've had to go and get an Italian goalkeeper who was on a free transfer, who was without a club. That's what they've had to go.
Yeah. Still, they had another cracker result tonight.
Yeah,
didn't
they?
So, fuck them.
Waffer Cup it is with Spurs.
Okay, let's move it on to the goals then. So Tom, we're sort of 0-0. We're kind of in that. Shall we take a draw? Do we not? I'm sure around the ground people were discussing with each other. Oh, would you be happy with a point? Would you not? Obviously, the other game at this point is 0-0. And then obviously the handsome Frenchman comes on and kind of hands it into the net. How ironic that arguably the world's best goalkeeper does something fantastic in the first half and then drops an absolute clanger for that second half. Now, if that's Ospina, yeah, you can imagine what would have been said. What was your thoughts on Giroud's opener?
If I just take it round to Giroud, for me, he did excellent to get the ball in the goal, because as you said, Neuer's come across and he's dropped it. He's got a whole host of people jumping for the ball, and to keep your eye on it and direct your head and angle your head so you can still get it in the corner is excellent for a goal, even if it was an open goal when it goes past the keeper. So he's done excellent to make contact with it. It is extremely suspect. I mean, I'm just watching it now, and Neuer comes out and just completely misses the ball, which is so uncharacteristic of him. As we were going on praising him earlier for the save he made, and then also for the second goal, where he really actually, to get where he did for that goal was quite incredible. But at the same time, he should be doing so much better there. But it's good to get a bit of luck against Bayern, and that's what, as you said earlier, like you can take 38 games in the Premiership, and that really does show you're the best team in that league. But winning the Champions League is a knockout competition where you do need a bit of luck, and one game can make all the difference. And that really did. I mean, you see Chelsea win the Champions League, and they definitely didn't deserve to. So it's nice to get a bit of luck, and it'll be extremely good for his confidence. The question then gets put, then does that mean he then starts the next game? I'd probably would say he doesn't start it, but he'll definitely be up there in the manager's thoughts a lot more than he was before he came on.
See, I would say on the flip side of that, do you mean the next Bayern game or the next league game?
Ooh, that's interesting. Although you could now, I'm sure we'll go into it later, but having Aaron Ramsey out,
Mm.
you could see Walcott move on to that right-hand side and Giroud start up front.
I see the Bayern Munich away game. I think that's tailor made for Giroud because I think the style of play that will play out there will be much the same as tonight. I think that's probably having won tonight, we can now probably afford to go to the Bayern Arena and go right. Let's try and get a draw. Now that's always dangerous because you set out for a draw and it's just a very difficult thing to do. But if we can nick one. We've got a decent head-to-head record in the Bayern Arena. I mean, if we can go out there and nick a draw, things are suddenly back in our own hands, and that's really all we can ask for. But we go 1-0 up. We're wouldn't say comfortable, but I think we've seen out the worst of it. Ellis, running into the sort of the last 20 minutes or so at 1-0 up, being honest, did you expect us to concede under the pressure, or were you always confident we'd be able to hang on, or indeed add to as we did?
Well, I'm very pessimistic when I watch Arsenal. I just can't help it. It's just me. So I was gagging.
Isn't it? Yeah.
There's so many times we've seen a sort of calamitous error where someone latches onto a loose ball and bangs it in, and I think one of the moments was Lewandowski got the ball and ran in. I think Koscielny was just behind him, and he was sort of niggling away. And I think I saw a little shirt pull there, and I thought if Robin wasn't injured and he was playing, then he'd be straight down. He'd have to breathe on him, and he'd be down on the floor.
Yeah, arms would have been up, legs would have been up a lot. Yeah.
So I was a bit surprised that went down. I think in the end, didn't we get the free kick out of that as well?
I think.
I was a bit confused about that whole situation.
Yeah,
but I thought that was one of the moments where my heart was in my mouth, really. And there's a few other ones here and there. That time when I think Muller tried to bend it in from left-hand side, and I thought, whoa. But yeah, I don't know if I expected us to concede, but I would definitely not have been surprised. And that moment when Mesut Ozil put the second one in and it was ruled off, I was just a little bit angry. Not going to say, not going to lie, I was really a bit fuming. And then all of a sudden I thought they'd blown for the whistle, and then I realised they'd given it as the goal. I think you mentioned earlier before, it was from agony to ecstasy in 2 seconds.
Yeah. It was a really, really weird kind of. I think even the commentators over here in the UK, they were like, "Oh, the referee's blown his whistle," and then they're like, "Yes, it's 2-0." I don't think they had a clue what was going on, to be honest.
Trying to murder Ozil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was
a question about that.
You can, Tom. Yeah.
So we've had a goal given by the fifth. Is it called the fifth official?
Fifth official or line judge or.
We've had a goal given by the fifth official, and we've conceded a goal by the fifth official. Would you rather swap that goal for the goal in the Olympiacos game, but with the risk that Bayern could have equalised in the last few minutes?
Oh, well, that's a question, isn't it? I'd probably have stuck with the way it is, because I think you get the best out of this Arsenal team when they're under pressure, and I think you get the best out of this Arsenal team when their backs are against the wall, because knowing Arsenal, we would have got that goal against Olympiacos and then shit the bed at the other end and still lost the game 4-3. So, it's a difficult one to judge, but I'm a great believer in dealing with what you've got, and I think that that second goal, you could largely say it was irrelevant because we were in front and we were winning the game, but it only takes something to go off somebody's arse at the other end for a 1-1 draw, and it's very different. So I would probably have stuck with the way it was. Would you have had anything different? Would you have switched them around?
Ooh, it's a tough one, because you got to look at it as in taking 2 points off of Olympiacos, and obviously that puts on 2 points rather than 3, but that would also mean that Olympiacos would be on 4. But then it would depend on getting a result in Bayern as well as that. But I think I'd agree with you in sticking with what we've got.
Yeah, so it's a very good question, though. So very, very good to you. Danny, while I've got you as well there, with regards to the second goal, strangely, actually, I thought that they were all saying pre-game Ozil has to have a massive game for us tonight. He's so crucial, and don't get me wrong, he was very good. Some of his touches were very good, and I thought he used possession pretty well tonight. But I wouldn't have said it was. If you look at his real stand-up performances, it wasn't one that leaps off the page. But that second goal, his run. Let's just kind of talk a little bit about Hector at this point. the speed that this kid shows at 90 odd minutes of the game, and he
do that.
He saw that opportunity. I think it was Alaba that he robs, and it was just like he saw that opportunity. And I mean, Christ, I haven't run that fast since I was 12, and it's just like, you know, he just got on his bike and was gone. And the thing I really liked about it is that, you know, he got pretty much torn apart by Costa the first half. There were people tweeting about, oh, you know, Costa's ruined Bellerin's career, blah 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 blah. And that just shows how gifted a player we've got in Bellerin. And then Mesut Ozil's finish, you know, okay, yeah, the Ox somehow managed to balloon the rebound over the bar. Thankfully, it's completely irrelevant now. But the partnership between Ozil and Bellerin, it just a really awesome goal, wasn't it?
It is, and when Bellerin writes his book in about 20 years' time, I bet the first chapter is all about just how much having Ozil and Sanchez at the club helped his career. And it's like you said at the end, it was weird to see the Ox doing a Santi and trying to kill someone in the top of the North Stand. But I've just read on Twitter that the sonic boom from the acceleration of Bellerin has just gone over Germany, so they'll be well aware of what he did as he broke the sound barrier. And how the hell can you run the entire game and then, I'm talking loud against my other ears covered up, there you go, I can hear myself better. How the hell you can do that, and then the very last minute just shows how fit our players are and how much they want it. And say that Ozil may have had a bit of a quiet game, he did. It's going to be hard playing as a German, playing against the best team in Germany, and he's probably got half his family watching over there in Germany, and he didn't want to muck up or make a mistake. But you saw the passion with how he celebrated the goal. You could really see that it meant so much to him. And then my favourite bit about the entire game, taking out the football bit, was right at the end. It went to went to Ozil, and then I think it was someone on top of him scoring, and then the camera panned round, and there was the Ox with the biggest smiling, grinning face. You want to give you little cheeky chops, you want to give him a big kiss on the head. Oh, what a way! That game is going to go down as just like the Barcelona game and the Bayern game where we beat them. That's going to go down as one of the greatest ever achievements for Wenger. Yeah. And then, like I was just saying in the WhatsApp group, the more, like I predicted, Man United were hammerers, and Dom said, yeah, the more I predict we lose, because Dom put 5-0 Neuer first goal. I said the more we predict stupid predictions, the more it seems we're going to win. So I'm putting us down for Spurs are going to beat us 14-2.
I think the truth of that is that it's just that you know that you can't match the genius of Davies' predictions because he's getting everything right at the moment. So I think the truth is you've just given up. That's what it is. And the sooner you and Dom admit it, the better.
3 seasons I've been doing this, and 3 seasons, this is the 3rd season, the first 2 seasons I finished bottom, and I do all the editing on the website, so I could easily rig it, no one would know, and I'm always bottom. I think, Ellis, you've had a couple of guest predictions, haven't you, on there?
Have I?
Yeah, I'm not sure you have. I remember putting
someone has.
Yeah, quite a few of you. I'll make them up.
Yeah,
you've never got one right.
I should say. I mean, there's some brilliant. In fact, Ellis has actually just tweeted one that I was just about to tweet myself. Some fantastic pictures of Francis Coquelin post game, just going absolutely batshit crazy. I just love his passion. He's just. And
I think I actually wrote a bit about Bellerin. I'm going to go. I mean, about the a bit that the Cock did, because they're all in the group. They were in the chat group. They're all asking for a little bit of Cock detail, and I only ever put COQ because to this day I still can't spell Cock or Koscielny.
Can you not?
No, I keep mucking it up. But luckily, I think my phone auto-corrected it. I think it was something he did in the second half. You carry on talking. If I find out, I'll just interrupt like I usually do.
The Mozart Twitter account is posted 2 pictures where when the pass was made to, it looks like Lahm that Bellerin took the ball off actually. He wasn't even in their half when he made the interception.
No, and he's a complete blur as well. If you look at the freeze frame, he's just a blur as he goes rampaging through the middle. I think
the bit I put was 67 minutes, great dispossession, recovery, and ball out by Coquelin.
There you go, and that's what he does so well.
Kind of Monreal kind of area of the pitch.
Yeah, he just does it so well, and you know, credit to him. Danny, I want you to do me a favour while you're there. I want you to dig out some stats from Mesut for me for tonight, if you don't mind. Just out of interest, we've had a request from Marcus Franson, friend of the pod. So he said if you can just dig out some stats, just to see what sort of ratios he had tonight, because I'd be interested to see, because it seemed to me like he was, I wouldn't say quiet, but he just seemed to do almost more defensive work than I've ever seen him do tonight, and it's a good it's a good thing to see that his side of the game, that he can do that as well. So
yes, well, he got a Cthulhu got man of the match with an 8.3.
I'm not surprised.
Ozil got an 8.1, and Sanchez only got a 6.9. But I think Sanchez did have players all over him for the entire game.
Yeah.
It's nice to see that Neuer only got a 6.6. Error led to the goal. Alba 5.4. Error led to the goal. Czech got an 8.1, which is really good. I'm surprised that Monreal only got a 7.6 and Bellerin only got a 7.8.
I thought. Well, bear in mind, Bellerin was, in fairness, he was shown a new one in the first half. So that's probably the reason why overall. But I thought Monreal was superb. Again, he's just his decision making, his calmness on the ball, ability to read danger. He's one of the best in the world, I think, as far as left backs go right now in his current form.
So 2 shots, possession of 3.6%, pass success rate 83%, 1 dribble and 4 disposed and.
Dispossessed.
Oh, right,
I don't think we disposed of him, did we?
I'm trying to fit it. Yeah, we got rid of him 4 times. He just kept coming back.
Just kept coming back for more.
83 pass success rate. I don't know why it's comparing him against Neuer. That's a little bit annoying.
Strange.
That's whoscored.com. So yeah, he had an okay game. And Cthulhu, just to give him a little bit of credit for it, possession 4.8%, pass success rate of 90%, 4 dribbles, 1 tackle. He was dispossessed once.
There you go.
And that's it. But I think Neuer had 6 saves. Which, if you compare Neuer against Czech, they both had 6 saves. They both had 1 claim. Pass success rate, which is pointless for a goalkeeper, but Neuer was 88, Czech was 42. Possession, they had Czech was 5.4% of the game, and Neuer was 3.9, and 8.9 overall rating, 8.09 for Czech and 6.60 for Neuer.
Not bad stats.
Kind of a game of 2 goalies.
I want to, Tom. I want to ask you on this one as well. I think somebody that we've all missed out a little bit tonight, who I've heard from many people. In fact, somebody I respect his opinion very highly, who said this. Per Mertesacker finished. For me tonight, he was just fantastic. Everything he did, and again, much like Mesut, there was nothing flash, there was nothing fancy. He certainly didn't do 4 step overs and a 50-yard crossfield pass at any point. But his reading of the game, his experience, his leadership, the way he takes control of situations, and even just the silly things like occasionally he brings the ball out, and you probably noticed this. He brings the ball out, he passes it into somebody, and it is immediately available to receive it back, and it just keeps the ball moving. Just what did you make of his performance tonight? Did you notice what I did?
Yeah, he was almost a sergeant at the back where he was organising everyone. And really, what I noticed was that when there was a cross played in by Douglas Costa, that his positioning, it doesn't matter if he's playing the right centre back position or the left centre back position. He's always in the right place where he knows that if a ball comes in, I need to be here, because if I'm not here, there's more of a chance that it might go through to one of their players. And it was put across from the left hand side across the box to the right. And if it had gone past him, then Muller was standing on the right hand side all alone, all free, just to tap that in. And he headed it away calmly, and I don't think anything was really made about it. But just his positioning, and as you say, his ability to be free for a pass, his calmness when he's actually on the ball, because he's not the most technically gifted player on the ball per se, but he certainly is confident in what, and he knows how much ability he does have with the ball, so he stays within those parameters. He doesn't go off like Koscielny can do sometimes, off on a run into the opposition's half. He does what he needs to do. He does the basics, and that's what a lot of players fail to do, and they try too hard. But he really does just pass it out. He'll receive it back, play it again, and at the end of the day, he marshals that whole defence. He tells people what to do. And when people have been saying about the captain debate, and even though he is getting on in his ages, but he, for me, is the best person right now to be that captain, because he does shout and he is a leader on the field, and he does do what a captain needs to do. As I said previously, he shouted at Czech when this world-class, massively decorated keeper made one mistake, and ultimately for me, he was my man of the match. Czech was, and he's shouting at him and telling you didn't need to do that. Next time, do not do that. Be more of what you can be and what you know you're about, and a confident and calm keeper, which he failed to do in that instance. But it doesn't matter who he's talking to. He knows that on that pitch he is the leader, and he knows that people are going to listen to him, and he's not shy of doing that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And as you say, he's the biggest word for me is he's a winner. He's won everything there is to win as far as the top level goes, and he is just a winner. And okay, yes, he's a bit slow. Well, so's John Terry, and as much of a cretin as he is, he's been one of the best defenders in world football for 10 years. So sometimes you play to your strengths, and Mertesacker with Koscielny is definitely one of our strengths.
If I just to add on to a little bit, it's just all the people in the summer moaning at the management of the club and everything about who we didn't bring in someone and whatever, and that Wenger should be leaving. And this is going to be a bit of a Wenger thing, but at the end of the day, players aren't always what win games, and it's tactics that win games. And what you saw today was the most tactical display from a team set out and who all knew their jobs. And if we didn't have Wenger that day, who knew what the result could have been? Mm-hmm. And so we had the players that we had last season, besides Czech, who Wenger brought in, and we beat Bayern Munich. And I think that needs to be stated and needs to be out there, just so you know that tactics are what win games, not necessarily the quality of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Ellis, where does this leave us? I mean, I'll cover the group in a minute, but just on the strength of, what kind of message this sends out to the rest of Europe? I mean, do you think that other teams will now look at us and go, okay, maybe they had a couple of dodgy games the first game, but they've beaten Bayern Munich. Surely this sends out kind of a warning signal to other teams in Europe. And more important than anything, we've had this tag of, we can't beat the big sides. We've basically played Manchester United off the pitch this season. The Chelsea game is irrelevant because of a certain petulant child. And then obviously there's this game tonight where we've beaten arguably the best team in the world. What's your kind of thoughts on where this sort of gets us as regards to moving forward?
I think you are. I think it does send out a message, but I think a lot of the clubs do generally see Arsenal as a bit of a threat, or the big clubs do, because people know that on Arsenal's day, when they're playing their football, when we're playing our football well, we can beat anyone in the world. I genuinely believe that. I think a lot of other football teams will see that as well. I think where we struggle is where we've seen at the start of this group stage, and also last season against Monaco, and also seasons before, is the European teams are starting to sort of figure us out now. It's happened to us a few times in the Premier League. When you see these teams like Olympiacos, who probably know that they're not going to have a lot of the ball, and we've mentioned it, they sort of done to us what we've now done to Bayern Munich this game. And I think the smaller teams have figured out that they're not going to, the way they can beat us is by sitting back and being defensively solid. So I do think, it does send out a message, but I think when you have a team like Bayern Munich, who like the decent teams in Europe, who are going to come at you and try and play their football, I think on our day we can beat any of those teams. And I think that, like you said, that's the message we sort of sent out to the big clubs there. Mm-hmm. But whether we can still do it in the group, like you said, we'll come on to it, but we need to take this mentality that we've had from Bayern and play Olympiacos and Zagreb the same way. We need, if we had played against those two, and like we did today, we'd be top of the group by now, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it's a funny old world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just we're Arsenal are unpredictably predictable, if that makes any sense.
No, 100% agree.
I've said it before. I went on the Arsenal in my blood pod, and I said I wouldn't even be surprised if we went away and beat United, because that'd just be exactly what we do. And here we are, we've done it. It's silly, really.
Same thing. No, same thing. And we said the same. Danny will tell you, I said exactly the same when we lost to him. I said it would be the sort of team. Yes, I did. You cheeky shit. I said it would be very. I think we asked on one of the radio shows, in fact, and we said to the guys, what do you think we can get from Bayern? And I said 4 points, and I stick by that. It's easy to say in hindsight, but I genuinely believed it, because it is just typically Arsenal, and it's also typically Arsenal for us to go and lose at home to Everton. That's just the way we are. So, but you mentioned the group, Ellis. Let's focus on this, and I'm sure Danny, you can give us some input. It's a very unpredictable group right now. If you look at it, Bayern Munich top on 6 points. They've lost one and won 2. Olympiacos second, 6 points, 1-2, lost 1. Obviously, we're now third. Well, technically we should be bottom actually, but we're joint with Zagreb, having won 1 and lost 2. So there's no draws in this group at all. Now we mentioned the other result in the group. Olympiacos got the 1-0 victory over Zagreb, which is slightly frustrating because that was going perfectly for us at one point with a draw. But where does this leave us now? We go away to Bayern Munich next week. Olympiacos host Zagreb. You would expect Olympiacos to get the win in that, which would put them to 9 points. Now, we get the draw. suddenly then it's a different group because Bayern suddenly are on 7 points and we're up to 4. Danny, where do you see this group going now? And do you share the thought that I have that a lot of this is going to hinge on that final game away at Olympiacos?
Well, my predictions are absolutely useless. I predict that we'll go there, beat Bayern, Olympiacos will win, and it'll be Bayern in the UEFA Cup position, fighting with Zagreb not to be knocked out in the group stages. That's my prediction, because I don't know. I think Bayern will go and we'll beat them. I mean, they'll beat us. Bayern will beat us because they're at home, and I don't think they'll do the same mistake again. I don't think they'll be playing the first half with such gay abandon. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he'll make such silly substitutions to take off 2 of their best holding midfielders, and they'll just ruin the entire game. For them, it ruined the game. I thought it was lovely, but it's football. Like Greaves used to say, it's a funny old game. I don't know.
It is true.
We've been going just over an hour now, so you need to tell these to hurry up because I've got to go and cook dinner yet.
All right.
Easy, Tiger.
Tom, what's your thoughts on the group now? I mean, as I said before, I'll say it again. I can just see it coming down to that Olympiacos game because let's just say we lose to Bayern. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we lose to Bayern. We stay on 3 points.
I didn't mean negative.
9. Well, no, just saying we do. But as Danny said earlier, we have to better the results now against Zagreb. So really, we need to beat them by 2 clear goals at home. Which, let's be honest, if we can't, we shouldn't be in this competition. It makes that Olympiacos game potentially the decider, and it's a tough one to call, isn't it, at this stage?
I think it is a tough one to try and work out what needs to be done and what we should do and who should play ultimately, because at the end of the day everyone moans about rotation, but there is points with the Capital Cup 1 Cup games and then the FA Cup games at the start at the end of the year. Some players are going to get injured. I've just got to put that. It's just a fact of life. We would be extremely lucky if you don't see more players get injured, especially now with Ramsey looking like he's going to be out for a few weeks. Rotation does need to occur at some point. That is it's not like a done deal that the same team can play every week in, week out, 2 games a week. But I look at it as in that I think that we could get a result at Bayern if it's just a draw. But assuming that we don't, as you say, then we certainly should be beating Zagreb at home by a significant amount of goals, and we really need to get the goal difference up because ultimately that is what it needs to be. We need to win that by a goal difference. So we need to beat Olympiacos, but we have not got a good record there whatsoever. I don't think we've beaten them there in Greece actually, and they'll be really up for it as well, knowing that they can get through into second place as well. So there'll be a lot of riding on that game. We might get a little bit of luck when Zagreb go to Olympiacos, but I personally can't see that happening.
No.
But yeah, at the end of the day, as you say, the first 2 games are a mistake. We shouldn't be in this competition if we can't beat these teams. We've shown that we're capable of not getting results against them. So let's turn that round and show that we actually are the team that we actually are. We're the team that can beat Bayern Munich and Barcelona, and these little teams are just a formality that we don't even consider. We just play our football and win our matches.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. At this stage, I will say to people listening in, if you do want to ask us some questions, we're a bit pushed for time tonight because Danny's being selfish. But if you look at that, look at that, it's like, well, yeah.
I'm hungry.
No,
I've been up for nearly 3 hours.
The next line was on the big show, but never mind, you got it wrong. But yeah, anyone that does have any questions, we'll pick out a couple if we can. I just want to ask before we take the questions, Ellis, what do you think we saw the hamstring injury to Aaron Ramsey, and our resident dingo, Dom, has told us that it's likely to be a sort of a 4 to 5 weeker, which as soon as he pulled up, I thought the exact same thing, having done it myself. Ouch! Old bones, old muscles rather. But yeah, probably realistically 4 weeks in Arsenal time is more likely to be 5/5.5. Where do you see the side evolving now? Do you see Ox getting a prolonged run in the side? Do you think it will be like Tom said earlier, shifting Theo out wide and giving Giroud a run, or something completely different?
I think we'll probably see the Ox with a sustained run in that position. I don't know what's gone on with when Theo had his contract talks, but I think when he did have those talks, he was under the impression that he would be playing as the striker role. So I don't think we will see him on the right there. I think we'll probably still continue to see Walcott starting up front, and then maybe Giroud making an impact from the bench, and they probably have the Ox on the right. For me, I think that's quite a good lineup. That's got a lot of pace. If you've got Sanchez on the left, Theo through the middle, and Ox on the right, that's a really good counter-attacking team. A team that can cause some real damage with their pace, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I would say with the Ox, I mean, I know Owen Hargreaves was saying in the commentary tonight, and Owen Hargreaves did say a lot of very wanky things, I have to be honest, but he did say that he can't understand how Ox isn't in the team, and he's world class and all this. I was like, for fuck's sake, you clearly don't watch Arsenal much, do you? Because as much talent as Ox has got, he's got to learn not to give the ball away. He's got to learn to protect his fullback, and that's the only thing I could see holding him back, getting a prolonged start in this team with Aaron missing now. And this is his chance now, and he's got to take it. I really do think that. And there isn't many other options with Jack not expected back until Christmas, with Danny Welbeck expected back in 2028. It's going to be kind of like Tom said. We're going to get injuries. We've got to deal with it. Okay, so let's take a couple of questions. Should we start with Dom? Yeah, we'll start with Dom.
Little Dom? Little Dom?
Little Dom?
Oh, he's taking over. It's ruined. I feel insignificant now.
Now you're speaking, Danny. I'm going to ask this because I'm sure Dom would want you to answer.
I just agree with Dom. Whatever. Is he in the chat window?
Yes, he is.
Dom.
Fucking hell.
Canada, one lady at a time.
Anyway, okay. So Dom's question, Danny, is: listen up. Would we have won that game with Szczesny or Spina in goal? And now Ramsey is out. Do we see the Jeff get a chance in the squad?
No, because the Jeff's on World Cup duty, isn't he, with the French under-19s?
Indeed.
The under-17s, if they're under-17s.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's going to be the time for the Ox to shine. We're going to get him out. We're going to buff his shiny head to a golden glow and let him go out on that pitch and shine and do what Wenger should have done years ago and let the Ox go out there and play 6 or 7 games in a row without being substituted and do what all the gods have got together and made him do, created him to do. It's going to be a thing of beauty.
Fair enough. And what about Ospina or Szczesny in goal?
Dom's been cheeky there.
Of course
he knows. I know what he's all about there, and I'm not playing these silly games. Yeah, we'd have. Ospina would have got a hat trick, and Szczesny would have got a touchdown conversion. Yes, indeed. No, those two are shit. They're never going to play in goal for us again in any important games.
That's a big statement. They're not
compared
shit.
to Czech, they bloody are.
They're not shit. They're just not as good as Czech. God, why is it that players have to be shit if they're not as good as other players? That's
the way I work. It's either quality or it's shit. There's no in between. It's black or white. Dom understands. He understands me. I've got Asperger's apparently, which I thought was a new type of McDonald's, but it's not.
Haven't you got some tins to put into order or something?
I went in the cupboard yesterday, and when the child put the shopping away, she didn't pile them on top of each other in the right order, facing the front. Oh, the air was blue.
You wonder why we go off on tangents. Anyway, let's have another question. I saw one up here. I need to go and find it. Where is it? It was from Kevin, and I've lost it now. Brilliant. It's your fault, Danny. Tom, have you got one while I try and find Kevin's question?
Was it from Kevin Durenda? Do you think that losing to Zagreb and Olympiacos in the Champions League actually helped us mentally in the Premier League game against Leicester and Watford?
That's the Badger. Tom, do you want to take that one?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
No.
Repeat it now.
Do you think that losing to Zagreb and Olympiacos in the Champions League actually mentally helped us win games in the Premier League against Leicester and Watford?
No.
Well, that's that sorted. Next.
Okay.
I genuinely think I don't know if it was mental preparedness. We've got a history of underestimating teams, so I can't. We never actually react because if we lost to Chelsea straight after a poor performance in Europe, and I just can't. I can't really see it being a mental block anymore. I just think we may have just clicked that Wenger, when we lost to Olympiacos, for one of the first times in his management of Arsenal, really went into the players. And I think it's more down to what he said to them to really get them up for it in the next game against Leicester, and that really did it. And it shows on the pitch. I don't read too much into responses anymore, just because of our fluctuations and that in our form in Europe and in the league. I just think that we got a team now that had a couple of poor results just because they underestimated the team, and now they've realised that they need to kick on. But I wouldn't say that those 2 results actually did anything. I think more of a wins against Tottenham and the like do more for the morale of the team than a loss in Europe.
Yeah, fair point, fair point. It's a good question though, so thank you for that, Kevin. A little humorous one I hear from the door. Serious question: where is Thomas Muller? I thought he was supposed to play tonight. Bless him. What I will say is, for a guy who you look at and you go, he looks a bit average. And if you didn't know what Thomas Muller has done, you'd look at him and go, is he really good enough for Bayern Munich? But my God, what a footballer!
When I saw Alaba out, I nearly forgot I was supporting for a moment. So
yeah, you did. I should actually tell you and Danny that I got him in the pack the other night. I should mention that at some point.
You
putting that out
live.
Should mention that at some point.
Why is George Lamb doing a BT Sport show? I've got it muted and I don't watch BT Sport.
Because BT Sport are budget as hell and they are desperate for presenters.
What's the show about?
Who's the guy that wants to get off early for dinner and he's chatting about this?
Don't get me started. Any other questions? Here we go. Here's another one.
George Lamb support. That's what I want to know.
Shut up. Everything rude everything. How ironic. This one's for Ellis. I'm going to give this one to Ellis. Do you think Wenger should give more youth a chance, seeing how his accidental find, which I disagree with a little bit, Bellerin and Coquelin are performing, maybe a Iwobi and an Ox on the wings instead of Rambo? What do you reckon to that, Ellis?
I think it's a very good question. I think, I don't know if I agree with it, like an accidental fine. He's obviously put these players in the squad for a reason. He did have his hand forced with Bellerin and Coquelin, both of them really, but he picked them for a reason, obviously, to come in. He obviously believed they could do a job. And Bellerin was one of those players in our youth academy that was sort of getting a name for himself. I think him and, was it Toral?
Yeah, John Toral, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying good words about him, so I think he was in Wenger's mind perhaps anyway. And Coquelin he's done the rounds and gone and played in a lot of the lower league, been a bit of lower league football, played well at Charlton and sort of got his chance and hasn't really looked back. But I think it's hard. I don't know much about the youth team at the moment. There used to be the days back when it was the Carling Cup, whatever it's called now, Capital One Cup, when you had players like Fran Merida and Carlos Vela and those sort of players that you knew about and heard about who thought would make it and perhaps didn't and went off to other places. Whereas now I don't really see those names cropping up. You've got Iwobi who had a good game for the under-19s, didn't he, today? And you've also got Jeff who made a big impression on pre-season. So there's a few there, but not as much as there used to be. And I think that's football now in general. I don't think it's just for the Arsenal team. I think there isn't as many young players coming through. And if they are, you've got people like Man United who are willing to spunk 35 million on 36 million on an 18-year-old, however old he is. I think
you're not seriously suggesting that people are more keen on spending loads of money instead of bringing through a talent, are you? How dare you suggest such a thing? No, I take your point. I think you're absolutely right. We should say as well that obviously, as we said about the Ramsey injury and whatnot, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. And we did have one other question here, which I'm going to ask. I'll give it to you, Danny. Why not? It's from Aaron Krishnan. Aaron. It's from Aaron. Who should start, Giroud or Walcott now that Ramsey's injured and the Ox is probably going to start on the right? And I'll caveat that a little bit. I think what he's essentially getting at there is, would you risk starting, for example, Walcott and Ox together rather than having somebody who's probably going to track? Because I think Walcott's as bad at tracking back as anyone is, and Ox, he does track, in fairness. He just tends to give the ball away in bad areas. So would you risk playing the two in the same side and just go all out, balls out pace, or would you rather see back to the sort of target man element of it?
Theo has shown that he can play out front. He's never going to play on the wing again. Not when we've got other players who can play on the wing. I think the days of Theo playing out wide are far behind us, and it's going to be. And plus, you don't change a winning team, do you? Giroud can do whatever he wants. You're not going to get back in a team where we're playing so well because Walcott is doing what Giroud does. Maybe not quite as well with the holding up play or being the last man back, clearing the ball out for a throw in like he did today. But the Ox is going to play on the right hand side, and then Giroud's going to stay on the subs bench, because I don't think Wenger is going to let, after all these years of promising Theo a run, we go on a run where we've lost one game in 6. He's not going to go, oh cheers Theo, now I'm going to play Giroud up front. I don't think that's going to happen.
That being said, of course, Giroud is doing everything he can do. I think fair play to him. He's taken this challenge on board. He's got goals. He's done what we've asked him to do. He's come off the bench. And the thing I really like about his goal tonight and his goal against Watford, everyone's criticised him, said, "Oh, we came on against Leicester and got a goal. And we were already won the game." Blah blah blah. He scored 2 really important goals coming off the bench, which says to me that his attitude is spot on right now.
He's
that
got
he
4 in
knows.
3 now for club and country.
There you go. In fact, he's got more Premier League goals, hasn't he, than Theo Walcott from 2 starts. So, I think he's doing everything right. And what you want at a big club is competition for places. That is what you want. You don't want anyone sat there going, "Well, I'll pick myself every week." So, fair play. And Hector Bellerin and Francis Coquelin are proof that if you're good enough, you'll keep your place in the side. So, you can't ask any more than that. We should also bring up briefly the people are talking about the Jeff in the Twitter box, the chat box, force of habit. I think what we have to say with Jeff is let's not ask too much too soon. The kid's clearly a massive talent, but I'll tell you from first-hand experience, Yassine Fortune, who came as partner of that deal, is probably a better player in the long run. So, and we haven't seen anything of him yet. So, let's just keep our feet on the ground with that. And I know a lot of people have also said, "Oh, Christian Bielik, what a waste of money. Why did we spend all this money?" Arsene Wenger said at the AGM the other day that him and the Jeff are the 2 best players he's got from his youth side currently. So I think you'll probably see more of Bielik, probably in seasons to come once he's eaten lots of Weetabix. So there is some youth talent there. I think it just depends on who's going to come through and who ultimately won't make the grade. I guess time will tell. We're going to start winding things up. Let's get some final thoughts from all of you before we do. Tom, give us your sort of final thoughts on where you want to see us go from where you want to see this team move on from here, and where indeed you see us going from here.
I'm extremely happy. For me, that result eclipsed the Barcelona win for me, just simply because of how down in the dirt we are in Europe this season, and we managed to come back and pull out a performance like that against what's arguably the best team in the world at the moment, with the best striker in the world at the moment. So, and not let him score. So there's that. In terms of going forward, it's a massive boost for the run that we were on already, beating Man United and Leicester and Watford. It's really going to help us push on even more so. It's going to even more winning mentality for the team. We've got Everton at home at the weekend.
Yep.
For me, that we should be beating them. They lost to Man United 3-0 at home, who we beat them 3-0 at home. So it bodes well for going forwards. I hope that we can push through in Europe. I personally don't want to be in the Europa for the rest of the season, because if there is one thing that could hinder our title chances any more than what there is out there, it is being in that competition. But you'd hope that if we were in that competition, he'd use it as more of a youth development phase than using the first team players. That's just my opinion of it. I don't really rate it as a competition. But yeah, I'm positive for the rest of the season. This result shows that the quality that we do have on the side, and how important this one signing we did bring in that really has been for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly before I move on to Ellis's final thoughts, I just want to give Tyrone a nod. That's a brilliant comment. We've had a Liverpool fan who's just popped into the chat and said, "Lol, Arsenal fans are so deluded." I'd just like to ask him how Liverpool are getting on in the Champions League this year. Oh, wait, sorry. Never mind. Yeah, and his comment, Tyrone's comment, "Oh, look, it's the fucking History Channel." Brilliant, Tyrone. Superb. Superb work, sir. I'm also going to answer Tyrone's question because I missed it, and I did say I would answer it. And he asked who will break through to the first team first out of the 3 between Bielik, Jeff, or Iwobi. I'm going to put my head on the block here and say that Bielik will. I think everyone loves a player who comes into the side like the Jeff, who's exciting, who's tricky, who's quick and explodes and all that. And don't get me wrong, I think the kid is fantastic, really do. But I've got a sneaky feeling that Bielik's being kept protected for a reason. I might be completely wrong, and if I am, hey, that's life. But you asked the question, I'll give you that answer.
You don't tend to get many goalkeepers and central defenders coming in their teenage years, do you?
No, you don't. No, that's fair.
A position that the more experience you have, the better you become. Whereas a striker, you can be a fantastic striker at the age of 16. There's so many players and 17 that we've seen. So maybe just getting more games he plays, the better he becomes.
Yeah, but then that being said, Danny, look look at Fabregas, at the time, and we could never have seen him walking into the midfield at the start of the season that when he did at Everton that game, and he walked in, and Coquelin as well, Bellerin. Again, I think a lot of it hinges on injuries, and just it's all about timing as well. I think the one thing with Bielik that I think has to change is that he's not a big lad, and I think even if you look at Coquelin, and Theo, the Ox, they've all bulked up, and I think Dom would be better qualified to talk about this than I am, but these players generally tend to go away on fitness camps. They come back and they're massive. They're tanks, and I think that's probably what he needs to be doing right now is putting on size. So we shall see. Excuse me. Anyway, wrapping up again, Ellis, what's your final thoughts on tonight, and anything you wanna just cover sort of moving forwards?
I think we can push on from this result. It's the sort of result that we sometimes get in the February sort of time when we might have been getting knocked out of the Champions League, but we'll go away to the team and we'll put in a really good performance, and then we'll go on a run of however many games where we just seem to just pick up the 3 points every game. So hopefully we can keep that going and stay within the 2 points of Man City. Maybe hope they slip up along the way at some point, or just I think if we stay within 2 or 3 points of City or whoever the league leaders are, I think it probably will be them by about December time, then we've got a really good chance at pushing for the title. And as for Europe, same as Tom, I really don't want to be in Europa League. And if we do, play the youth guys there. But yeah, just keep on going as we're going. See how the Ox goes on the right. Maybe even try someone else out there. But I think we can just push on from the start. It's a great result, and we can hopefully take it into the league and beat Everton at home.
Yeah, basically keeping on, essentially, isn't it? Keep doing what we're doing, because right now we're in good nick. So, Danny, final thoughts? What's your views? And do you reckon you could maybe crack a smile when we go to the Bayern Arena, or not?
Yeah, I'll enjoy it. It's a game of football. I'll be there, there.
You'll be there.
I'll be watching it on the telly, hoping that we beat them, just because we can. But my final thoughts, as Matey Boy used to say, was the show where they'd be shagging each other's brothers and sisters. What's his name?
Oh my God, I don't know. Just get on with it.
Come on. Our 2 lowest percentage.
Some of the things you come out with.
Oh, he used to sit there at the end of the show and go, "Oh, my final thoughts are this." Don't shag your brothers and sisters.
Oh.
He's famous for it. Big nose, Jewish bloke.
Here's the clip. That's where we're going there. Just there. No. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so our 2 lowest possession games of the season. Man United only had 40%, beaten 3-0. Today we only had 31%, beat Bayern 2-0. And 2 out of our lowest number of passes in the season. The lowest is Bayern, beat them 2-0. And our 3rd lowest is Man United with 313, and we beat them. So maybe we need to stop scoring. No, don't shoot more, hold on to the ball more.
Just sit back and absorb the possession a bit more. Yeah,
that's it. It's annoying me. I can't remember that bloke's name. Someone's bound to have wrote it in the window, haven't they?
Yeah.
Come on, people, write in. What's his name? Jerry Springer. Thank you, Waldo. Didn't he? He sat there and went, I'm going to be wise, and he usually was wise.
It was his final thought, I think, was the name of it, wasn't it? Jerry's final thought.
Yeah, so that was my final thought. Shoot less, hold on to the ball more, pass less.
There you go. Okay, well, we should say as well, me and Danny are going to go off and put our heads together and do a bit of making up, because everyone thinks we hate each other, Danny. We don't hate each other, do we?
I just spent a lot of time talking to you over this week, and now I'm quite disillusioned because you're annoying.
I should charge, really.
It's my choice. Henderson would play every game at Arsenal. What, as a ball boy?
I think on that profound note, I think we'll call it a day there. But all that remains to be said. Obviously, thank you to our panel. So thank you very much to Tom.
Fuck off.
Thank you very much. Love you too. Thank you very much to. I don't know what to say to that. Tom's got all rowdy. Tom, is it past your bedtime? Come on.
No. I was just getting down with the environment that you and Danny created. That's
all good. Yeah, I'll punch you later. Ellis, thank you very much for coming on for today. That's much appreciated.
Yeah, fuck off too.
Cheers, mate. Love you lots.
Thank you.
And Danny, go fuck yourself.
I'll just saying that. I'll just put a little tweet in the. Leslie's in the window. Everybody go and listen to that new Football Hipsters podcast. This is episode number 1. We did it all the other night, and it's very good. And it's only 2 hours of your life you won't get back.
We tried, didn't we? We really tried to make it
And
an
I am
hour and
going
a
to be
quarter. But
on, I think, about 7 podcasts this week, including
Yeah.
this one and our own one. And this Thursday we've got Mr. Jason Davis who will be hosting, and Fife will be there, Raj will be there, Mark King will be there, I'll be there. Gimli's having to lay down with a hot water bottle because he's not really feeling very well. And next week, hopefully, next, as in not this Thursday, one after, hopefully it's going to be a late night one. Not sure who's hosting, but hopefully it's going to be OJ and Dom, because we're going to do a late one. OJ, Dom, and then a couple of other people.
Cool.
I don't know who's doing that one yet.
So probably me and you then, because we're the only people that are up at stupid times in the morning.
Well, I would like to have some time off and go and cook some food.
Ah, wow. Okay. Well, on that note, you can bugger off. That's fine.
And don't forget to go and vote for us in the FBA's, people. We're one of only 10 team podcasts left in the final, and the only Arsenal one. And go and vote for Arscast, and
Yes.
go and vote for Swiss Ramble.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think there's maybe one other one as well.
One other one, isn't there? And basically, anything Arsenal, just
Anything
give it a
Arsenal.
vote. Give it a vote. We do
Yes.
appreciate that. So, yes, absolutely. And ABW Radio will return on Saturday. It's Everton. It's a 5:30 kickoff, so we'll be back as usual, roughly 15 minutes after the game. I can tell you that nobody's booked for that at the moment. So, actually, I
I'm
think
starved to death by then.
yeah, I think 2 people are booked for it, but I'm not sure who they are. So we'll announce our lineup later on in the week. But thank you, Danny. You can go and make yourself some food. Thank you
Not
very much.
pressed stop yet, haven't I?
Yeah, well, you can do that in a minute. Thank you to everyone that's contributed in the chat box. We've had some really good numbers tonight, some really good conversation, and a wanky Liverpool fan. So that was ABW Radio. Thank you very much for listening, and we will speak to you again soon. Keep it Arsenal. We'll speak to you on Saturday. Cheers for now.
Nanu, cheeky goodness.